The courtroom was quiet, too quiet. Everyone was waiting for the judge to speak. He was an old man with kind eyes, wearing glasses and holding a thick file in his hand. On his left, the lawyers waited. On his right, the officers stood still. Behind them the wooden benches were full of people, some worried, some curious, some bored, and at the very back sat a girl. She looked no older than 16. Her hands were shaking, her face was pale. She wore a simple blue dress and held a small notebook in her lap. No one knew her. No one noticed her, not until she stood up. A guard turned to her. "Sit down, please," he said softly. But the girl didn't sit. She walked forward slowly, holding a folded paper in her hand. Her steps were unsure, but her eyes were firm. She reached the middle of the room and looked at the judge. "I'm sorry," she said in a quiet voice, "but this can't wait." The courtroom became still. The judge raised his eyebrows. Gurn handed the paper to the guard. He hesitated, then took it and walked to the judge. The judge unfolded the paper. His eyes moved quickly. First line, second line. Then he stopped. He stared at the paper. He read it again. And again. His hands started to shake. The room stayed silent. You could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Finally, the judge looked up. His face had changed. His eyes were wide. His lips pressed tight. He picked up the phone next to him and spoke 3 words. "Call the FBI." 1 week earlier her name was Ella. She didn't speak much. She lived with a foster family, Mr. and Mrs. Granger, in a small town where no one asked too many questions. Ella had no parents. At least that's what they told her. Her first memory was sitting alone in a hospital bed, holding a teddy bear with one eye missing. A nurse had asked her name, and she had whispered Ella. That was it. She was 6 then. 10 years had passed. Ella wasn't like other girls. She didn't talk about dresses or boys or makeup. She read books about mysteries and codes. She loved writing in her little brown notebook, the one she never showed anyone. Inside she wrote everything about her dreams, about her questions, and about the secret. Yes, Ella had a secret. One she didn't fully understand. One she had carried for years. The photo in the box it all started with a photo. One cold evening, while cleaning the attic, Ella found an old toy box. Most of it was junk, broken dolls, empty boxes, dusty clothes. But at the bottom, wrapped in cloth, was a small photo. It showed a man in a dark blue uniform, holding a baby. On the back of the photo, in tiny letters, was a number. Case 74X. Witness secure. That night, Ella couldn't sleep. She stared at the photo again and again. Something inside her told her this was important. Very important. She wrote about it in her notebook. Strange things began after that night. Things started to change. Ella noticed a black car parked outside her school. The same car? Every day? At the grocery store, a man bumped into her and whispered, "Stay quiet." Her foster father, Mr. Granger, suddenly became more strict. He locked his study and never let Ella near it. Her foster mother smiled less and whispered more. Ella felt something dark around her, like a storm was coming. One night she heard them talking in the kitchen. "She's getting too close," Mr. Granger said. "She found the photo," said Mrs. Granger. "She's not supposed to know," he replied. "If she talks, it's over." Ella froze behind the door. Her heart was beating fast. She didn't understand everything, but one thing was clear. They were hiding something, and it was about her. The decision. Ella didn't know who to trust. The police? No. What if they were involved too? She thought about running away. But where would she go? Then she remembered the court. She had read online that a case was happening nearby. A big one, about missing people and government lies. It sounded crazy, but something told her it was connected. She made a plan. She copied her notes onto a single paper. She included the photo, the code, the names she had heard whispered. She wrote a short message at the end. "If you are reading this, then please believe me. I think I was hidden for a reason, and the people raising me are not who they say they are." Back to the courtroom, and now, here she was, standing in the courtroom, watching the judge read her words. He looked at her, then back at the paper. "Who gave this to you?" he asked. That Ella didn't speak. She simply pointed at herself. "Where did you get this information?" he asked again. "My life," she said. "I lived it." The judge leaned back. His hand was still shaking. The guard stood ready. The lawyers looked confused. No one knew what was happening, but everyone felt it was something big. The judge turned to the officer near the door. "Secure the building," he said. "Nobody leaves." Then he picked up the phone. "Got the call. This is Judge Halbert. I need to speak with the FBI. Immediately," he said. A pause. "Yes, I have a possible witness connected to a federal case." "Yes, a girl." Another pause. "No, she's not a suspect. She's the key." The room they placed her in was quiet. After the judge made the call, 2 FBI agents arrived. They took Ella into a private room. It had no windows, just 4 walls, a table, and 2 chairs. She sat alone for 10 minutes. Then, a kind-looking woman walked in. She wore a black suit and had a badge on her belt. She sat across from Ella and gave a soft smile. "I'm Agent Laura Reed," she said. "Don't be scared. You're not in trouble. We just want to understand." Ella didn't speak. "Agent Reed, place the note on the table. You wrote this." Ella nodded. Double quotes. "Where did you get this information?" Ella took a deep breath. I lived it, she said. I don't know everything, but I remember things. Small things. Agent Reed leaned forward. Tell me what you remember. From the beginning. She had no birthday. Ella looked down at her hands. I don't know my real birthday, she said quietly. I just know I was brought to the hospital when I was 6. A woman dropped me there. She told the nurse I was lost. Then she disappeared. You don't know who she was? Agent Reed asked. Ella shook her head, but before she left, she whispered something in my ear. What did she say? Ella's eyes became wet. She said, you are special, but you must never tell anyone. Not yet. Agent Reed sat back. She wrote something in her notebook. The first memory I remember sitting in a white room, Ella said. There was a man on the floor. I think he was bleeding. I remember sirens. And a door slamming shut. Do you remember the man's face? Ella closed her eyes. No, but I remember his voice. He said, run, Ella. Don't turn back. And did you? Yes, she whispered. I ran until I couldn't breathe. Agent Reed looked surprised. You were 6. Ella nodded. Double quotes. Where did you go? I think I hid in an alley. Then someone found me and called the police. After that, they put me in foster care. The foster life. Ella's voice grew colder. Now they gave me to Mr. and Mrs. Granger. They said they were kind people, but something always felt wrong. How so? They never talked about my past. They always told me not to ask questions. They locked doors. Whispered when I walked into the room, and they hated my notebook. Your notebook? Agent Reed asked. Ella nodded and reached into her bag. She pulled out her brown notebook and placed it on the table. It's all in here, she said. Everything I saw, everything I heard. The code agent Reed opened the notebook. Her eyes moved over the pages. Some were drawings, some were words. One page made her stop. That it had the photo taped inside. The one of the man in the uniform holding a baby. Under it, Ella had written, he looks like me. I think he's my father. Agent Reed turned the photo over and read the back. Case 74X. Witness secure. She looked at Ella. Where did you find this? In the attic, Ella said. Inside an old toy box. I think they forgot it was there. Agent Reed stood up. She left the room without a word. Meanwhile, in Washington back at FBI headquarters, a file was pulled out from the archives. It was dusty. Sealed. The label said, Case 74X Agent Daniel Mason missing. The file had a photo. Same man. Same baby. It was Ella. Back to the interview room. Agent Reed returned with another agent. He was taller, serious, with gray hair. I'm Agent Carter, he said. Ella, we believe your father may have been Agent Daniel Mason. He went missing 10 years ago during a classified mission. We never found him. Ella blinked. My father was FBI. We think so. Why didn't anyone look for me? Agent Carter sighed. We did, but someone erased the records. Someone powerful. Ella's hands were shaking now. Who would do that? We don't know, Agent Reed said. But we think your foster parents might be part of the same group that made your father disappear. The lie she lived. Ella felt dizzy. For 10 years, she thought she was unwanted, forgotten, just another foster child. But now, she realized something else. She had been hidden, on purpose, by people who didn't want the truth to come out. But why? And what did her father know? She looked at Agent Reed. I need to go back to that house. There might be more. Files, papers, anything. Agent Reed nodded. We'll go with you, but we have to be careful if they find out we're coming. They might destroy everything. Ella looked up. I'll distract them, she said. Back to the house the next day. Ella walked into the Granger house like nothing happened. Mrs. Granger smiled tightly. You're back. Yes, Ella said. Just had a long walk. Needed air. That night, FBI agents hid outside in vans, watching everything. Ella waited when Mr. Granger left the house. She whispered into her jacket mic. Now, agents rushed in, quiet, fast. They searched the study, the basement, the attic. In a hidden box behind a wall panel, they found a USB drive. Inside it, names, codes, documents, marked classified, and a message titled, For my daughter, if I don't make it. Ella sat in the FBI van, holding the USB tightly in her hand. It was small, but it felt heavy. Heavy with secrets. Heavy with truth. Agent Reed sat beside her. She placed a laptop on the table and plugged the USB in. We'll go through it. Together, she said softly. Are you ready? Ella nodded. Yes. The screen lit up. A folder opened. Inside. There were 6 video files, 3 documents, and 1 note. Agent Reed clicked on the note first. A message from her father. The screen showed plain white text. It read, To my daughter, if you are reading this, then something has happened to me. I hope one day you'll forgive me for hiding you. You were in danger more than you'll ever know. I did everything to keep you safe. Trust no one unless you are sure. The truth is buried in places where lies live. But you, Ella, you were always meant to find it. Daniel Mason. Ella's hands began to shake. Her eyes filled with tears. Her father hadn't left her. He had protected her. He had hidden her to save her life. Agent Reed touched her shoulder gently. We'll find out what happened to him, I promise. Video file 1. They opened the first video. It was a recording from a hidden camera. A man, Daniel Mason, sat at a desk, looking straight into the lens. They think I'm working for them, he said. But I'm not. I've seen what they're doing. Human tracking, false adoptions, missing children. They bury the truth under fake names and new families. Ella gasped. Her breathing got heavy. If I disappear, he continued, they'll erase everything. That's why I'm leaving a trail. My daughter is the last piece they didn't control. She must stay hidden if she's ever found. Protect her. The pieces start fitting. Together, Agent Carter walked into the van. We've checked the Granger house. We found more documents. Your foster parents were paid by someone to raise you, every month. Cash. No paper trail. Ella looked up. Say they weren't really my family. No, Carter said. They were part of something much bigger. A secret group that operated inside government walls. Your father was close to exposing them, then he vanished. Ella's voice shook. You think they killed him? Agent Reed looked serious. We don't know yet, but if he's alive, we'll find him. Danger returns that night. While staying in FBI protection, Ella looked out of her hotel window. Across the street was the same black car, the one she saw before. She froze. It hadn't followed her by accident, they knew. She backed away from the window and picked up the phone. They're watching me again. Agent Reed arrived in 5 minutes. She checked the footage from nearby cameras. The black car had no plates. Inside, a man in a suit, face hidden by shadows. Ella watched the screen. I've seen him before, she whispered. The man in the hat flashback. Ella remembered a night when she was 8. She had woken up thirsty and gone to the kitchen. A man was sitting at the table. With Mr. Granger, he wore a hat and gloves. His voice was deep and cold. She's asking questions, he had said. Mr. Granger nodded. We'll handle it. Back then, she thought it was a dream. Now she knew it was real. Agent Carter spoke. That man is, in several cases, tied to witness disappearances. He never leaves a trace, Ella whispered. He was always watching. The trap. The FBI made a plan. They would use Ella to draw the man out, but safely, with agents hidden everywhere. Ella agreed. I want to help. I want answers. The next day, she walked through the park like nothing was wrong. She wore a mic. She carried her notebook in her hand, just like always. The black car was back. It parked across the street. Inside, the man in the hat was watching her. Then got out. Ella's heart began to race. Face to face. The man walked slowly toward her, calm like he wasn't afraid of anything. Ella stood still. You shouldn't be here, he said, his voice low. She looked at him, trembling but strong. Who are you? He smiled faintly. You're smarter than they expected. Did you kill my father? She asked. He didn't answer. Instead, he said, some people are better off forgotten, just like you were supposed to be. Then suddenly he turned and ran. The chase FBI agents jumped out from hiding spots. Freeze. But the man was fast. He ran through the crowd, down the street, and into an alley. Agent Carter followed. So did 2 others. But when they reached the alley, it was empty. He was gone again. Something left behind, but he had dropped something. Phone. Agent Reed picked it up. It had one message open on the screen. It said, Target 74X identified. Code Ella Mason. Final order. Remove. Ella gasped. They were planning to kill me. Agent Carter nodded slowly. And now, we know exactly what they're trying to do. Ella couldn't sleep that night. The phone the man in the hat dropped was now in FBI hands. They were trying to unlock it. But even without passwords, it had already revealed one terrifying thing. Final order. Remove. They wanted her gone. Forever. But why? What truth was so dangerous that people would kill for it? The old file. The next morning, Agent Reed entered the room holding a dusty brown file. We found this in FBI cold storage, she said. Your father had access to it. It was last opened the day he disappeared. She opened it slowly. Inside were photos, maps, medical charts, and one document with a bold title. Project ELLA. Phase 1. Ella stared at the words. What is that? She whispered. Agent Carter entered behind her. We believe it's a program, and you were part of it. The truth about her name. Agent Carter placed a paper on the table. It was a birth certificate, but not a real one. Name. Ella Mason. Status. Confidential origin. Unknown. Facility 9B. Mother. Redacted. Father. Daniel Mason. Ella looked up, shocked. I wasn't born in a hospital. No, Carter said. You were part of a secret government experiment. Your father didn't know at first, but when he found out, he tried to save you. What kind of experiment? She asked, voice shaking. Reed answered. We're still digging, but from early files, it looks like they were testing memory, intelligence, even emotional control in children. Why? Ella asked. To create the perfect witness, Carter said. One who remembers everything, but can forget. When told more than a child, Ella felt cold all over. Her past had been a lie. Her name was real, but her life wasn't. Was I created? She asked. Afraid of the answer? No, Reed said softly. You were born, but your early years were controlled, watched, even filmed. Your father found out when you turned 4. That's when he ran. Ella looked down. So I was just a test. Agent Carter leaned forward. No, you were his daughter. He risked everything to give you a normal life. The hidden room. Later that day, Agent Reed got a call. Come quick, we found something. They returned to the Granger house. In the basement, behind a loose wall, there was a hidden room. Small, cold, silent. Inside were drawings, toys, a bed. It had been Ella's first room before the foster home, before the hospital. Someone kept you here, Carter said. Before your father rescued you. Ella touched a wall where her name was carved in crayon. Tears fell down her face. The whisper tape among the old boxers. They found a recorder. It was dusty but still worked. They pressed play. A man's voice. Don't trust anyone from level 9. They don't care about her. They want her mind, not her life. If I go missing, find the cabin near Blue Ridge Peak. Everything is hidden there. Ella's eyes lit up. My father left something. Agent Reed nodded. Then that's where we go next. A race against time, but they weren't the only ones listening. The phone the man in the hat dropped had GPS. A second team unknown agents had already picked up the Blue Ridge location. Ella and the FBI were no longer ahead. They were in a race. And if they lost, the truth would be buried forever. The journey that traveled at night. Ella sat quietly in the back seat of the black SUV. Her heart pounded, not with fear, but with purpose. Agent Carter looked in the rearview mirror. We're close. Thick trees lined the road. The moonlight guided them through the darkness. Suddenly, Agent Reed's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, then turned pale. They're already there. The night air was filled with smoke. Ella stood at the edge of the woods, staring at the burning cabin. Flames shot through the roof. Wood cracked. Ash flew through the air like snow. They set it on fire. Agent Reed said, shocked. Knew we were coming, Agent Carter added. But Ella didn't move. She stepped forward. There might still be something inside. No. Agent Reed grabbed her arm. It's too dangerous. But Ella looked at the fire and whispered, my father left something. I know it. Into the flames before anyone could stop her. Ella ran straight toward the cabin. Smoke filled her lungs, her eyes burned, but she kept going. Inside, everything was on fire. Books, furniture, papers, all turning to black dust. Still, Ella searched. She dropped to her knees, crawling through thick smoke, and saw it. A metal box bolted to the floor. She pulled with all her strength. It wouldn't move. Behind her, the roof groaned. The fire was growing. Then, a hand grabbed her. Agent Carter had followed. Let's go, he shouted. Together, they yanked the box loose and ran out just as part of the ceiling collapsed behind them. The box that survived back in the van. The agents used gloves to open the box. Inside was a black binder. Waterproof, fireproof. Agent Reed opened it, and inside blueprints, photos, names, bank accounts. A full list of government officials, secretly connected to Project ELLA. Ella leaned in, eyes wide. Her father had kept everything, every truth they tried to erase. The code book at the bottom of the box. There was something else. A small red notebook. The first page had only one sentence. If I disappear, she will find the truth. And if she finds it, they will run. Agent Reed flipped the page. Lines and lines of numbers. Secret codes. Coordinates. Ella spoke slowly. This is how he stayed ahead of them. Yes. Carter said, this is how we finish what he started. The truth spreads. The FBI began moving fast. Every piece of evidence was scanned and saved. Files were sent to trusted agents in different states. They couldn't risk losing it all again. And most important of all, they cleared her father's name. Daniel Mason was no longer missing. He was a hero. A man who gave up everything to protect his daughter and the truth. But the fight wasn't over. Late one night, as Ella sat by herself, she saw a flash drive taped inside the red notebook. She pulled it out, plugged it into the laptop, and hit play. A video loaded. It was old. The camera shook a little. Her father's face appeared. Ella, if you've made it this far, then I failed. But I want you to know, I never stopped fighting for you, and I never stopped loving you. There's more, a safe location in Europe. I left a final file there. But be careful. They'll follow you. You must decide, stay safe or finish the fight. Ella wiped her tears. I'll finish it. A decision the next morning. She told the agents. I need to go. Reed stared at her. It's dangerous. Carter nodded. We can send a team. But Ella shook her head. They want me scared. They want me quiet. I won't give them that. Reed looked into her eyes. You're brave. Ella smiled softly. No, I'm my father's daughter. A week later, Ella stood at the airport, holding her father's red notebook and the flash drive close to her chest. She was leaving everything behind. The FBI agents, the city, the place where she had almost lost her life. But she wasn't running. She was going to finish the story. A safe house in France. The notebook had coordinates. They led her to a quiet town in southern France. Beautiful hills, stone houses, a place no one would expect to hide something dangerous. A woman named Claire met her at the door of an old villa. You must be Daniel's daughter, she said. Eyes kind. You knew him? Ella asked. Claire nodded. He trusted me. He left something here before he vanished. She handed Ella a key. Go to the basement. You'll understand everything. The basement of truth. Ella walked down the cold stone steps. It was dark, but not empty. There were books, maps, and one large suitcase. Inside the suitcase, papers, videos, a second notebook, and a worn-out photo. Ella held it up. It was her father, holding her as a baby. He looked tired but proud. She fell to her knees, tears falling again. He had never left her. The final file in the suitcase was a folder labeled Phase 2, Witness Erase Program. Ella opened it slowly. Inside was a list of children just like her. Names, fake families, payments. But then, something worse, a chart with a headline, deactivation schedule, dates next to each name. Ella scanned the list. Some names were already crossed out. She gasped. They killed them. Her voice shook. I was on this list too. Going public. Ella stayed up all night translating the files. She used the flash drive and sent everything to trusted journalists her father had worked with years ago. Then she recorded a video with her face, her voice, and her full name. She looked straight into the camera. My name is Ella Mason. I was part of Project ELLA. I was taken, tested, hidden, and almost erased. But I survived. And now, I have proof. You'll find it in the links below. The world needs to know the truth. And the people who did this need to be stopped. She posted the video. Then waited. The world reacts within hours. The video spread. News channels picked it up. People began to ask questions. Social media exploded. Families came forward. My son was taken to, I remember, a girl just like her. My brother vanished after talking about something similar. The truth was out. The government couldn't stay silent anymore. Danger returns, but exposing the truth comes with danger. That night, Claire woke Ella up in a panic. Get up now. Someone's outside. Ella grabbed the files. Claire led her through a hidden tunnel under the house. Footsteps echoed above. They reached the woods. Far behind. A man shouted, She has the notebook. Get her. Ella didn't stop. She ran through trees, mud, and fear, because she had one job now, stay alive long enough to make them pay. An unexpected alley at the edge of the woods. A black car waited. Ella froze. Another trap? But the door opened, and a young man stepped out. I'm Noah. I worked with your father. He sent me before he vanished. I've been watching, waiting for you. Why now? Ella asked, breathless. Because now, you're strong enough to finish it. Months had passed since Ella's video went viral. The world had changed. People were angry. Families were coming forward. Secrets that had been hidden for years were now on every screen. And finally, a trial was announced. Not just any trial. This would be the biggest government exposure in years. A case that could bring down powerful people. And at the center of it all was a girl who had once been forgotten. Ella Mason. Courtroom chaos. The courthouse was surrounded by cameras. Reporters from all over the world were waiting. Is it true she was part of an experiment? Did the government really erase children? Who else is involved? Ella walked past them silently, holding her father's red notebook. Inside the courtroom, high-ranking officials sat on the defense bench. Their faces were cold. The judge entered. All rise. The voice echoed. The trial had begun. The first bombshell. Agent Carter was the first witness. He stood strong as he spoke. Yes, the program existed. I saw the files. I saw the names. These were real children. They were taken, tested, and placed into false families. The courtroom gasped. The judge leaned forward. Do you have proof? Carter nodded. We do. Thanks to Ella Mason. Eyes turned to her. She didn't flinch. Ella takes the stand. It was her turn. She walked to the front of the courtroom. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. My name is Ella Mason. I was placed in a foster home after being removed from a secret facility. My father tried to protect me. He was silenced. But before he disappeared, he left me everything. Names, files, photos, even this. She held up the flash drive. The judge nodded. Please continue. Ella told her story. About the hospital, about the man in the hat, about the fire. The courtroom was silent. No phones, no whispers. Just listening. Every word hit like thunder. The defense crumbles. The defense lawyers tried to fight back. She has no medical records proving this. But Agent Reed stepped forward. We recovered digital files. Some were deleted, but we restored them. The screen behind them lit up. Photos of children. Names. Timelines. Payments to secret doctors. It was all there. One of the officials on trial suddenly stood up. This is a setup, he shouted. But no one believed him anymore. The public turns. Crowds were chanting Ella's name. People carried signs. Justice for the forgotten children, we believe. Ella shut down level 9 inside. The pressure grew. One official finally broke. He stood up in court and whispered. It was real. We did everything, she said, and worse. The courtroom exploded in noise. The judge slammed the gavel. Order. The verdict. Days later, the judge returned with the verdict. He looked at the room, packed, emotional, historic. After reviewing all evidence, testimonies, and classified material, this court finds the accused guilty. Gasps. Cheers. Tears. Justice had arrived. Ella's moment. Reporters rushed to Ella after the verdict. How do you feel? She looked at them, tired, strong, proud. I didn't do this for revenge. She said I did it for every child who never got to grow up, for every truth that was buried, and for my father. But it's not over. She walked away from the cameras. Noah met her outside. They arrested the big ones, he said. But the shadow group behind level 9 is still out there. Ella nodded. I know. What will you do now? He asked. She smiled. I'm not running anymore. I'm hunting. The trial had ended. Justice had won. But Ella Mason knew something deeper. This was only the beginning. The people who were exposed in court were just faces. The real monsters. They were still hiding in shadows and high towers, watching her waiting. But this time, she was watching them. A message from the past one cold morning. A package arrived at her new safe house. No return address. Inside, another flash drive. It had no label. She plugged it in. The screen lit up. It was a video. Her father, again older this time, looking over his shoulder nervously. Ella, if you're seeing this, then you already know the truth. But there's one last piece. They didn't just take children. They used them to build something. A network. A weapon. I found it. I copied the files, but I couldn't stop it. Maybe you can. Her heart stopped. A weapon? Was that what Project EL was really about? The hidden code with Noah's help? Ella dug into the flash drive. There were codes. Strange maps. Digital patterns. They contacted Agent Reed. He called back with a low voice. We ran it through our systems. Ella, it's not just files. It's a kill switch. What kind of kill switch? She asked. For all of us, he whispered. It's connected to satellites, AI systems, even bank accounts. If activated, the world's systems collapse in 72 hours. Ella's face went pale. They were building world control. The race begins. They had 3 days. Just 72 hours to stop it. Ella, Noah, and Agent Carter flew to a secret base under the Alps. The files pointed their cold halls, steel walls, doors with no names. Inside, a lab filled with humming machines, a computer with a blinking red light, active, phase 963 hours. REMI ANI Anjitha, final choice. Ella stared at the screen. There was a shutdown option, but it needed a voice. Scan her father's voice. Noah leaned over. We have the old recordings. We can fake it. But Ella looked deeper. There was a second option. Transfer control to Ella Meso, and she hesitated. Shut it down, or take control. Carter spoke softly. What would your father do? Ella whispered. He wanted me to be free. But he also wanted me to fight. She reached out and clicked. Transfer CO Intero. The storm begins. The system shifted. The red light turned blue. Everything went quiet. Ella now held the keys. To every file, every program, every name, everything they had hidden was hers now. No one could silence her again. She didn't just stop the weapon. She became the one they feared most. 1 year later, the world was different. Corrupt programs were shut down. Hidden labs were exposed. Survivors of other lost projects began speaking out. And Ella, she started something new. The Phoenix Foundation to protect the truth and the forgotten. Reporters once called her the girl who was erased. Now, they called her something else. The girl who became a storm.